Hey, I'm Nicole, and I'm from Shanghai, China, and I'm a international student from Emory University. I'm a freshman.
So how has your experience at Emory been for you so far?
I'll say it's great. I mean, like Emory, it's a it's a school like even more diverse than I thought it would be. So there's like enough international students to like just you can find like a lot of people similar to you, while just find other people maybe different, but you can just make friends with them. And people are friendly, so I'll say like my experience so far is really nice. It's been really good.
What do you plan to study at Emory?
Well, I'm thinking about business, like going into the business school, and I'm thinking about accounting and information system management. But as a freshman, like I'm still pending, like trying to decide what I want
Right.
in the future. So.
So you like the city in Atlanta? Do you feel at home here somewhat?
Well, I feel home in Emory, but Atlanta in general because it's like such a different city with Shanghai, where I came from. So I would not say home, but I feel like comfortable in the city.
So how is it at Shanghai?
You mean life?
Yes, how's it living there?
Shanghai is a really crowded city. It's a very populated place, but it's so developed that everything is just so convenient. Like I can find like 10 restaurants within like 5 minute walk from my apartment, and then we have like really developed public transportations. So it's just you will feel like everything is just within reach. So and because like it is so populated, your friends and like families are living like really close to you in the city center, which just make everybody closer, I guess.
Thank you for doing this interview with me, Nicole. And the goal of this interview is to get your views on Chinese food here in America versus Chinese food back home.
Okay.
And we want your opinion on the authenticity of it.
Mhm.
Okay. So, the first question, do you enjoy eating Chinese food?
Yeah, of course. Like it's the food from my home, so.
Does Chinese food have any cultural significance to you?
Well, I wouldn't say culture significance like such a high level. Also, it's just like a feeling from home. It's like the environment. It reminds you of the environment that you grow up with. It's like a familiarity. So I kind of feel close to it.
So what are some of the things that when you think of home, what do you think of?
You'll think of home cuisine, like the dishes that your grandma, grandpa made for you when you were little, just like reminiscent stuff.
Do noodles have any cultural significance to you and your family?
Yeah, I'll say yes because my grandfather he came from the north part of China, and like in the northern part of China, the noodles are more used in cuisine than the southern part. And so because of that, like when I was really young, my grandpa would make me noodles, like the homemade, handmade noodles, instead of those that you can buy from the shops. And I promise they taste different. And then like because compared to other family from the southern part of China, we eat more noodles, so that's pretty significant for them.
So how often do you eat noodles when you're in China?
I will say at least once a week, once or twice a week.
Has that changed since you've been here in America at Emory?
Yeah, of course, because here, like in the duck, there's like apparently you eat whatever the fusion provide you, but when we go out, we basically find cuisines that are from like either Cantonese cuisine or like Sichuan cuisine, which don't contain a lot of noodle parts. So
Could you describe how these noodles taste and look?
taste and looks. So there's a lot of cuisine that you can do with noodles, and one of the I'll just tell you like one of my favorites. So it's like it's made by handmade noodles, which are thicker than the noodles that you can buy in shops. So they're like they taste how do you say it's just it tastes different, and then like you cooked the sauce with meat and other vegetables, and then you combine them together. So it's like a stir fry, but yeah, that's like the typical one.
How does the Chinese food here in America compare to the kind back home in China?
I'll say like it is actually pretty authentic. I mean like it's more authentic than I thought it would be, like than the rumors. But everyone just like classified Chinese cuisine into like one category, which is like Chinese cuisine. But actually, there's like I wouldn't say 100, but like at least more than 50 like genres inside the Chinese cuisine. Like every region, they have their specialties in cuisine. They have different like type of cuisine. So in here in the state, basically the Chinese cuisine that we found is mostly Cantonese cuisine or like Sichuan cuisine, which I mean like they're very unique genres in the Chinese cuisine, but they just couldn't represent everything in Chinese cuisine, especially because I came from Shanghai, but I can barely find like Shanghainese cuisine here. So I would say it's authentic in some way, but not like broad enough in coverage.
So what makes Shanghai Chinese food different from the kind here?
So Shanghai Chinese food, it has a very unique, I wouldn't say ingredient, but like in the, what do you call that?
Seasoning?
Yeah, the seasoning part. We use a lot more soy sauce and a lot more sugar. So Shanghainese cuisine will taste sweeter than the normal Chinese cuisine that we can find here. And then there are like special dishes that you couldn't find in other cuisine.
So being that you said the Chinese food here is different from the kind in Shanghai, do you ever have any difficulties finding certain ingredients or entrees here in the States that are in China?
Yeah, actually, I did because I remember like during the Spring Festival, which is like a couple of months ago, we were trying to like cook the food ourselves, like cook Chinese food ourselves. But when we went to like the Chinese market here, it's still hard for us to like find all the ingredients that we need. Like mostly the spices, because something that you just couldn't really translate it into English, like those special spices and also the special kind of wine that you used for a certain cuisine. And also, I don't know if that's true, but at least personally for me, the meat, like the pork and the chicken here, didn't really taste the same as those from Shanghai. I have no idea why, but that's what I thought. So when you like trying to make dishes with those ingredients that you found here, it's just somehow different from what we made at home. So.
Do you sense a difference in the attitudes towards food here than in China?
I'll say yes because I don't know if it's because it's in college and people are eating from the dining hall. So I just see that people eat food because they just eat whatever they want, basically, just because of like it's a buffet, and then you just pick whatever you want and eat. But back in at least back in China, like because people like make their own food and like people share everything, like just put the plate in the middle of everyone shares the plate. So the people like who made the food at home will pay like special attention on like what food goes with, like which one goes with which one, and then like how they taste together, and then like just the combination of like nutritions and stuff. So yeah.
So in China, you would say that there's a big difference as far as health and making time to eat was significant to you.
Yeah, I would say like Chinese people generally really pays attention on what they eat. Like especially the elder people. Like they believe that food is a very, very important part in your life. So when they're making food for you, they'll just like consider everything. Like is it tasty? Is it nutritious? Is it like good for you? And did you have every nutrition you need? So they're like very considerable on all those things. But for here, I don't know, maybe because of the college dining, so people just grab stuff that you need to eat. So like less attention.
So would you say that there's a difference in the attitudes between the young people and older people in China?
Yes, definitely. Like, also in two parts. The first one is what I just mentioned, like the nutritious part. So like, because the younger generation, because like their life is busier, they have way more stuff to do than the older generation have in their life. So they start to like pay less attention on food. I know a lot of like young mothers and fathers just like take their kids and go to a restaurant every day. Like they don't do home cuisine. And so like food is becoming less of an important part in their life compared to the elder generation.
You said that there's a lot of authentic dishes here in the States that you didn't expect. Were there any things that you found here that were inauthentic Chinese food?
Inauthentic Chinese food. I would say, oh, of course, like those tandoori chicken, Mongolian beef thing. These are like the typical American Chinese food. But other than that, also like basically dishes other than that, they're just out of my expectation because they actually taste pretty nice and pretty authentic.
Do you find the fusion section of the dough to be somewhat authentic?
I would say there were sometimes, like there were a couple of times that they made like pretty nice Chinese food because like the fusion stand, they don't like, it's not like all about Chinese food, it's about also Asian cuisines like Thai food or like Korean food. So I will say they're trying their best to like mimic the taste of the Chinese cuisine, but sometimes because like one thing that I noticed about fusion is that they really add a lot of onions in Chinese cuisines. Where back in China we don't actually put any onions in any of the dishes, so that's like a really big difference. So that's where I found like not really authentic.
Are there any inauthentic dishes here that you're going to actually like?
Actually, those what I mentioned earlier, like the tandoori chicken, they actually taste good. I mean, like they're not like the kind of Chinese food you will have at home, but if you don't think it as Chinese food, it tastes really nice. It's like, yeah, it's good.
What do you feel is necessary for a dish to be truly authentic?
I would say, first of all, the ingredient, like the local ingredient, they have their own taste. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like farmers market, like something that's real and it's authentic itself, like the ingredient itself, and then also the seasoning, and besides that, how you make the seasoning. Like every, I don't know, just different people have different styles, have different method of cooking food, and then when you're used to those like your grandma's or like your mother's cooking style, they're the authentic cuisine for you, and the others may not be. So like it depends both on cuisine and then the people who cook it.
So do you think it depends on the people who cook it because of the way they may cook it?
Yeah, I would say one, it depends on the way they cook it because just I mentioned like everyone has a different method of cooking food, but also I don't know, because when you're cooking food, you're actually like mimicking the taste of the food that you had in mind. So if you grow up eating like one kind of food, you're very likely to make dishes that's similar to that kind of food. So that's why like maybe Chinese people will cook like more authentic Chinese cuisine because they know the taste in their memories. So yeah, I'll say people matters.
So in what ways do you think the Chinese food in America is most similar to the Chinese food back home?
I will say the like the seasoning part, like they put a lot of like the special kind of seasoning that exists only in Chinese cuisine, like the sesame oil, like soy sauce, like those things. They're like there's something unique about the Chinese cuisine, and they like paid attention to put those unique ingredients inside the cuisine here, so that make them similar.
But you still think that in China there's a lot more attention to detail in cooking?
Maybe. I'll say like, because when comparing to the cuisine in China, I'm like comparing, not comparing to the cuisine that you have in restaurant, but more compared to the cuisine that we have at home. So you know, like home cooking are like different. They're just like home cooking are like more attention to detail and more attention to like ingredient stuff. So that makes it, you know, just yeah.
So you say that the food in China, there's a lot of attention to detail when it's cooked at home, and a lot more goes into it, a lot more care than it does here at a lot of Chinese restaurants in the States. But due to the growth in fat use and mass production of food, do you sense a change in the authenticity of the food in China itself?
I would say yes, because Because like as you mentioned, the mass production of food, like a lot of ingredient itself is changing. Like those chickens, like just take chicken as example. Like those chickens are like raised by those medicines, and then they're just like in order to like increase its rate of like growing, and then like their meat just tastes different, and then because of the difference in ingredient, it's like getting worse. I would say the food that you make from those ingredients are less authentic than before. So like just like a simple example, the food that you made from the ingredients they purchased from purchased from supermarket will be different with the like cuisine that you make from ingredient that's purchased from the farmer's market. So because like one is the mass production and one is like born and raised by themselves, so they like kind of different. And now it's less authentic in that way.
So are people in China getting upset about it, or are they just going with it?
I would say most people are going with it, but some people, I would say like at least for this older generation, they're getting really upset about it because they're used to that kind of taste in their childhood, but it's changing now, so they're getting upset.
So how do you feel about it personally?
Well, I will say it doesn't make such a difference for me because when I was young, like when I was a kid, the mass production already began. So like the taste of food in my childhood is like basically the same from here. So I'm not getting too upset about it.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching this interview with my friend Nicole. Thank you for doing an interview with me.
No problem.
Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys learned something new.